Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea. And what day is it? It's game day. This is our special pregame show for the finale. Not just another episode, the finale of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I still can't believe this is it. I still can't believe the show is over. 6 episodes. Listen to me, Disney and Marvel. 6 episodes is not enough. You don't have to do 22 episodes, but 6 episodes is not enough. But still, we're heading in to the final episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Big hype, big excitement. You know, you guys have heard me say this before. I haven't episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I've enjoyed, but I didn't love it until episode 4 and 5 came. Episode 4 might be the single best episode of Disney Plus television yet. Episode 5, not quite as good as episode 4, but I thought episode 5 was a great change of gears. It fleshes out the show so well. I loved episode 5. So it has really got me psyched up for this finale tonight. And that is what we are here to talk about here today, guys. We're talking about that final episode tonight. John, why are you saying tonight? Because for me, it comes out at midnight tonight. So me and my buddy Ryan, we're going to be staying up and watching this thing at midnight tonight. I'm sure a bunch of you guys are as well, where it's 3 a.m. New York time. Some of you hardcore warriors are staying up till like 3 or 4 in the morning to watch this damn finale tonight. I am staying up until midnight watching this finale, and I cannot wait. And we are now here to talk about all the things that we think we're going to see tonight. What is it? What are our speculations? What are our theories? What are we wanting to see? What has really impressed us so far with the show? That is what we're here to talk about on game day, the pregame show. Now, don't forget, guys, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Los Angeles time, we will do our wrap-up. We will do our open spoiler discussion of episode 6, the finale. But for now, let's do what we're going to be spending the rest of our time doing, taking your thoughts, comments, theories, speculations, all the things about Falcon and Winter Soldier tonight. Let's hear from you guys and what you guys have to say. All right, we're going to get things started off here with Nikhil, who writes, "Love the pregame show. Keep up the good work." Thank you, Nikhil. I love doing it too. It gets me even more hyped for the show itself. All right, Ismail writes, "John, love the pregame shows. Thank you so much. What's your level of excitement for this finale compared to WandaVision?" I ask because it seems that WandaVision had us crazy with theories, but Falcon and Winter Soldier, not as much. Your thoughts? Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I am very hyped for tonight's finale. I am very excited for it. I'm very hyped for it. It's not quite on the same level as the hype I had going into the WandaVision finale for a couple of different reasons. One of which you mentioned. There's a lot about WandaVision was inherently a mystery, right? And that stuff really gets me salivating, that sort of thing. The second thing is really more from a practical point of view. It was a longer series. Now, granted, only 3 episodes longer, but it was a longer series, so we had more time to build up to this big grand finale. So I'm super excited about the finale tonight of Falcon and Winter Soldier, very hyped in case you can't tell, but I was probably even a little bit more hyped for the finale of WandaVision, but who cares? It's all going to be about how good is this episode tonight, and I'm very stoked for it. All right, next up, we've got Jason and the Marvel Knots writes, over under 25%. Wenwu, I'm not sure who that is revealed to be the power broker. Evidence is some familiar music visual elements shared between Madripoor and the Shang-Chi trailer, and the timing of its release in the week before. If you're talking about Mandarin, I was one of the first people to notice the similar music used in the Shang-Chi trailer that is used in Madripoor in that episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that awesome Philippines hip-hop song. But I think it is extremely unlikely. Now, is there a possibility? Yeah, there's a possibility, like you said, because we do have Shang-Chi coming out, so they could create a connection there. They may go that way. My main theory about Power Broker is still that it's somebody we've never seen. I don't think it'll be Sharon, although there's some good arguments to be made that it's Sharon. I don't think it's, Justin Hammer or whatever Hammer's first name was. I can't remember. I don't think it's Hammer. I don't think, I definitely don't think it's, as some people think, it's Samuel Jackson. I don't think it's Samuel Jackson. I don't think I honestly think it's going to be, if I had to put $1 on it, I'm going to guess it's a person we've not yet met. We're going to meet the Mandarin for the first time, or the power broker for the first time, and it's going to be somebody that we don't know yet. At least that's my guess. All right, next up. Jason and the Marvelnauts also writes, Wakanda is the new Stark giving tech to heroes. Yeah, kind of, right? Before it was, we want a hero to have tech. Well, Stark gives it to him. Now it's, well, they get it from Wakanda, which, again, I liked in this circumstances because the narrative completely, lines up with it. So it made perfect sense to me that Sam was going to get the new suit from Wakanda. It made sense. All right, next up, Ben Donnelly writes, when I said Walker deserved better, I meant they should have sent him to therapy or given him the means to do it. They left him wide open to repeat. If you're talking about like stripping him of the mantle of Captain America, giving him an other than honorable discharge, and then just letting him go, you're right. I mean, at minimum, there should have been mandated therapy. I mean, look, when you, in insane rage, murder a guy in the middle of the street that you had beaten and downed, at the very minimum, he should have been given required therapy to take. I mean, to me, it seemed like a no-brainer. So you're right. I completely agree with you about that, Ben. That's good insight, and I completely agree with you. All right, Ben also writes, if Sharon really is the power broker, she should reveal it like Vince McMahon. It's me, Wilson. It's me, Wilson. It was me all along, Wilson. I mean, yeah, if it does end up being Sharon Carter, which again, I think it's going to be nobody, but there are arguments to be made for Sharon Carter for sure. If it is, they should really make it grand. I mean, it should be a grand reveal. Maybe not exactly like that, but somewhere along those lines like that, Ben. All right, next up, Ben also writes, I wonder if the Wakandans gave Sam not only a comics accurate costume, but either a biomechanical red wing or technology that lets him talk to birds. I think that would be going too far. The ability to talk to animals, I think, would be going too far. But then again, we do have in the MCU talking raccoons and walking trees, so really how far is too far? But I think that would go a little bit beyond the Wakandan technology. So I'm looking forward, again, my feel is we are going to get a Captain America design-inspired costume with the functionality of the Falcon costume with the wings. I've been saying that for a while. A Captain America design-inspired Falcon with the wings. Now, from the beginning of this series, I've said they're going to end up making Sam Captain America. I hope they don't. I hope he goes by another name, whether it's American Falcon or whether it's Uncle Sam or whether it's something. I would rather him go by a different moniker than Captain America, but I do believe they're going to go with Captain America. Either way, I think it's going to be a Captain America design with Falcon functionality. We'll see if that turns out to be that way or not. All right, next up. Juno Faulkner writes, after Bucky went to Mr. York's apartment, I think Mr. Yori realized that Bucky killed his son and has been waiting ever since for Bucky to tell him. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. It's possible. But if your son dies in some foreign country years earlier, and just because somebody comes to your door weird one night, you think, wow, I wonder if that's the guy who killed my son. I don't know. I mean, it is possible Bucky may break down and tell him, I'm the one who killed your son, and Yori may hug him and say, I've known all along, I've just been waiting for you. I mean, maybe they do that, but it seems like a bit of a stretch, but I cannot wait to see. However it turns out, I've been waiting for that scene since episode 1. The scene when Bucky comes clean with Yori. I've been waiting for that ever since. All right. Let's see here. Suthius writes, Zemo was about Turkish delight, was all about the Turkish delights, just like Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe. So you know what I did? I went on Amazon and I got me some. New favorite candy, over under 70%. Zemo is in the post-credits. I'll go, I was about to say over. 70's a high number. 70's a high number. I'll say easily over 50% because I do believe it's likely. But I'll go under on the 70 just because 70 seems high. So I do believe it's likely, but I'm not willing to go as high as 70%. So I'll say closer to 60, 65%. So I'm going to say under on that for now. Daniel Luna writes, hey, John, hope you're having a good day today. I am having a good day. Thank you. But by the way, some of you probably noticed we didn't have a John Campea Show earlier today. I had a business meeting today right in Hollywood, as a matter of fact, that I could not turn down. I could not skip this. So hopefully, I mean, Who knows? I might be able to tell you guys about it sometime in the future. Probably ends up being nothing, but there was that. So, but I've had a very good day. It's been a good day. I got those meetings done. I got to do a companion video earlier today. Been a very productive day so far. Anyway, I got it, John. Yori will not forgive Bucky for what he did and will proceed to call Rocket Raccoon to take the arm. In all seriousness, I can't wait for that Bucky and Yori talk. Listen, yeah, they might do the Disney princess ending with this, where Bucky confesses to Yori and Yori goes, "Thank you for telling me. I just needed closure," and gives him a big hug. Maybe that happens. I would be very curious to see a very different reaction out of Yori. Like, "Oh, you're the guy who murdered my son? You destroyed my life. You killed my child." And I mean, and I think that would be good to show, because it won't undermine the seriousness of Bucky's previous actions, but it'll still show that Bucky being able to move forward isn't about other people forgiving him. It's about him doing what he needs to do. And whether or not Yori forgives him, that's not the point. The point is Bucky needing to take those steps. So I'm really fascinated to see how that ends. It's going to be really interesting. Or they could go really dark, Daniel. Like, Yori goes, "You killed my son," and he pulls out a knife to stab him, and Bucky has to kill him to protect himself. Wow, that took a really dark turn really fast. But either way, I think it's going to be a powerful, powerful scene. All right, next up. Suthius writes, "Because John was disavowed of his Captain America responsibilities by the government, he may end up getting arrested and put in the raft after tonight's events." Maybe. Well, yeah, he is a super soldier now. He could very well end up in the raft. I remember, if they go Thunderbolts route with the certain theories that have been lining up, Zemo's there now. Walker would be there now. A lot of other people are there now. And listen, we know one of the guys on the raft right now is Abomination. And we know Abomination is going to be in the She-Hulk series. So he gets out somehow. So maybe a whole bunch of them get out, including Walker. I don't know. Theories galore, Suthius. Theories galore. All right, Amin writes, if Sam starts using the Cap name, will the show still be called Falcon and Winter Soldier in season 2? Probably not. Or something else like Captain Falcon and the White Wolf. I mean, that's possible too. Rob and I were talking about on the show the other day that season 2 could very well be called Captain America and the White Wolf. Or they might give Bucky top billing next time and say White Wolf and Captain America. Whatever. It is possible that they go that way too. Again, we'll just find out what Sam's going to call himself. I hope it's something other than Captain America, because I don't want Bucky as Captain America. I don't want Walker as Captain America. I don't want Sam's. There is one Captain America to me, and that is Steve Rogers. But I think they are going to do that. And the way they've laid out this show, I feel I still don't like it, but I'm more on board with it. I'm more okay with it now than I would have been before the beginning of the show, the way they've lined it all up. So it's probably likely he's going to be called Captain America, but I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that maybe he takes a different name. We'll see. All right, next up. Amin writes, also right now, what % chance that we get a season 2? I'll say 60%. I'll say 70%. I mean, with Disney and Marvel submitting Falcon and Winter Soldier not in the limited series category like they did for WandaVision, they submitted it in the drama series category, which implies they may do a season 2. I'm going to say 70% chance we get season 2. Marie Seifring writes, over under 15%, we get a post-credit scene with Thunderbolt Ross at the raft, maybe with Zemo as a tease. I mean, I think we're definitely getting a post-credit scene. If it'll have something to do with the raft or Thunderbolt Ross, I don't know. So if you were just asking for a post-credit scene, I would say 100%. Let's not say 100. I'll say 95%. But that it'll specifically have Thunderbolt Ross in it, I'm going to drop down to 40. So not a tiny chance, but not likely either. So I'm going to say 40%. 40% is what I'll say and what I'll stick with. All right, Marie also writes, when Sam takes up the shield, I think the government will officially recognize him after he successfully arrests Carly. I mean, that's a very, because remember, he can't just take the name Captain America, right? The government has to give him that name. or has to okay that name or bless that name. It's the government's name. They're the ones who gave the name to Steve Rogers. They're the ones who gave the name to John Walker. Ultimately, it would have to be them giving the blessing for Sam having that name as well. And yeah, so I think you're completely right. I think that's what'll happen at the end. I think Sam will help save the day, and the government will say, "You are our Captain America. We wanted you to be Captain America before, Sam, but you turned down the shield, and now you accept it. You're our guy." So we'll see how that goes. All right. Next up, the Marie also writes, over under 5%, we get confirmation of where old man Steve is. I'll go way over 5%. Not 50, but I'll say like a good 20% chance. I think there's a 25% chance that we actually have an old man Steve appearance. So you know what? I'll take that back. I'll say a 30% chance that we get an understanding about where Steve is. I think a 25% chance that he actually pops up. Again, that means unlikely because it's under 50%, but I do think there is a chance. So we'll see where that goes. All right, next up, Marie also writes, I hope when Bucky speaks with Yori, that Yori tells Bucky about his son. Not exactly full forgiveness, but some closure in the gray area of life. Thanks. Again, I'm kind of leaning towards, I want Yori to be angry and throw Bucky out. Because to me, that just feels more real. If you find out somebody comes up to you and says, "I'm the one who murdered your child. I killed your kid." Maybe there can be reconciliation later, but I'm kind of hoping Yori reacts very, very badly. Again, because I think that would also emphasize the fact that the purpose of Bucky telling him was not to get forgiveness, but that it's something he needed to do. And so we'll see how that goes. Let's see here. What's next? Next up, we've got Ryan Holman who writes, I think there's a chance Bucky takes Walker's shield. I mean, there's a chance. It's very small. I do think it. Listen, if he was going to take it, he would have taken it. If Bucky wanted the shield, he would have taken it. But I think, the last episode, when the fight is done and he's got the shield and he drops it back on Sam again and says, like, don't mess it up this time. I don't think he has any interest in the shield. I think it's pretty clear it goes to Sam. All right. Michael Bradley writes, hello, John. My prediction for the final episode, Walker will appear to die in an explosion only to be seen alive in a post-credit scene. Maybe. I think if he's going to be in a post-credit scene, it'll have to do with him going to the raft, though. And it probably has something to do with Madame Hydra, or Elaine, as I like to call her. It might have something to do with her as well. Or it could be something completely different. I mean, we got Loki coming up in 2 months. So maybe it'll be something that leads into Loki. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. All right, next up. Johnny Weiner writes, what are the chances that Sam's boat is going to get destroyed by the end of the episode, like how they did with the Razor Crest in The Mandalorian? I think very low. I think the boat has now served its purpose. Hold on a second. I think Sam's boat has now served its narrative purpose in the movie. They might go back to it to show them finally sailing on everything, but I don't see any reason about why or how it would be destroyed. So they might, and it could be an emotional moment, but I think it's time to move on from the boat. We'll see. All right. Next up, Tony Hurd writes, an idea I heard was at the end, Sam creates a section for Isaiah in the Cap Museum. Ooh, I like that. And he sees it. It probably won't happen, but it would be cool if it did. Listen, they have already used that museum as really an emotional keystone in a couple of different movies and properties, right? Like a couple of times people have walked in that museum, even at the beginning of this show. Creating a spot in it for Isaiah Bradley, I like that idea. And then Sam brings him there and he sees himself finally getting the honor he deserves. That could be pretty cool. I'm all in for that, Tony. I think that's great. All right. Tony also writes, from the action to the drama to the character moments, even if the ending doesn't stick 100%, this show is another win for Marvel and gets me excited for their future projects. Oh, listen, no, this show is already good enough that even if the finale was simply, Bucky and Sam giving it like a 5-minute fight and they win. And then the next 55 minutes is just Sam and Bucky hugging each other saying, good job, bro, for an entire 55 minutes. this show is already a winner. The show already wins. Like, almost regardless of what happens in this final episode, it almost doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. You could have a cartoon Scooby-Doo and Shaggy show up and say, "Don't worry, Sam." I can't do a Shaggy voice. Who am I trying to kid? "Don't worry, Sam. We'll solve this for you." And then Scooby uses a Scooby snack to hit, Carly over the head, and he laughs. Like, even if they did that, it wouldn't matter. This show was already a win. Now, the final episode will determine how big of a win, right? How big of a win will be determined by tonight's finale. But even if tonight's episode sucks, it's already a win. It's already been a great show. And I've enjoyed it a great deal. All right, next up. Where are we at here? We're at The Wakandan Forever writes, "I say this as the Wakandan. I hear you, Isaiah, I do, but we have to give our man a chance. I feel Sam can represent the nation, but has the world progressed enough to accept him as Captain America?" I think so, and I think Sam knows that. You see, that's the thing. I think Sam knows that while there's clearly, like, they've made sure in this series to show us that Sam is keenly aware that there are still issues in America, especially when it comes to race and all that kind of stuff. There are clearly still that, look, we know that, but we had to see that Sam understands that. Sam knows that there are still issues, but Sam is also aware of the progress that has been made. And he believes America as a whole, not every part of America, because there are still, parts of America like to hump their own cousins in their mother's basements. But aside from those freaks of nature, the majority of America is now at a place, and I think Sam knows this, that they are ready to accept a black Captain America. Isaiah, who's had a very different and a much darker experience, may not believe that, but Sam does, and it's going to be good to see where they go with this moving forward. All right, next up, we've got. Why can't I get this to move? Why? Okay, no, there we go. Wakanda Forever also writes, "It's a pair of wings. The case is $1 billion." Yeah, right. That's the funny thing to me is, like, everything in Wakanda is made of vibranium, which means, like, that suitcase alone is probably worth about $200 million. Like, if Vision's body weight was equal to $3 billion worth of vibranium, that suitcase alone is probably $100 to $200 million suitcase. So yeah, there's that. All right, next up. Wakanda also writes, "John, do you think Sam can handle the super serum?" No. I think part of the message of this show is nobody can. There was one guy who could truly handle it, and that was Steve Rogers. I mean, even a good man like Bucky still struggles. He keeps his head above water, but no, I don't think Sam could handle it. And I think he knows he couldn't handle it, which is part of the reason why it's like, nope, the serum ain't for me. Now watch, he takes the super soldier serum tonight. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. We'll find out. All right, Moon 7 Willow writes, "Whatever happens, this show has been amazing. Completely agree." Was just talking about that. "I hope to see more of these characters in the future." Oh, I think we will. I think, the MCU has been showing us that they're now willing to invest more into what we have considered up until now side characters. Because as much as I love Hawkeye, he has been, even though he's a core Avengers member, he's still a side character. Black Widow, while I love her and she's very prominent in a lot of the MCU, to me, she has been a side character. Wanda has been a side character. Vision has been a side character. And same with Falcon and Winter Soldier. They are now promoting, if you will, these characters to our frontline, top tier characters in the MCU now. And I think they're going to continue to do that as they move forward. All right, next up. Sean Schaffner writes, "John, the Power Broker is not Mephisto or Nightmare, but obviously how they're going to introduce the X-Men into the MCU." Satire. Yes, I know. It is good to see, with all the theorizing and speculation in Falcon and Winter Soldier, that we as the audience have learned our lesson from WandaVision. No wild X-Men theories. Oh, this is going to bring on mutation. Oh, this is going to do that. Like, we all understand now, Kevin Feige isn't bringing in the X-Men yet. We still got to wait. So it's been good to see the fandom progress to that level, Sean. All right, next up. Jason A. writes, "One of two. Sharon Carter theory. Her actions make more sense to me for someone who is undermining the power broker. So that's where I think her story is going. She hasn't seen Power Broker, but she will be. She's like Isaiah. Any love of country is gone. I mean, look, I still think a lot of the stuff with Sharon is a huge question mark. There's still a huge question mark as far as Sharon is concerned. And I'm just going back a little bit to make sure I haven't missed any questions yet. Okay, it doesn't look like I've missed any questions. Sharon is, in of herself, a huge, big question mark. And what they're going to end up doing with her, like, again, being Power Broker doesn't make any sense if she's helping Carly, because the Power Broker wants to kill Carly. But if she sent in Batroc to double cross Carly and capture or kill her, then that maybe says she is Power Broker. Again, my bottom line is that I believe Power Broker is going to end up being a brand new character that we've never seen before. But I still think, I mean, to me, Jason, honestly, the number one question going into the finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier is, what's the deal with Sharon? What's the deal with Sharon? That is, seriously, that's my number one question. Not so much who is Power Broker, not even will Sam become Captain America. My number one question is, what the hell is going on with Sharon? What's going on with her? That's my main thing. I want to see where they go with that. All right, next up. Jason writes, am I alone in finding Walker to be one of the most complex characters in the MCU? His flaws have me very invested in his story, and I want Thunderbolts now. I mean, listen, I have hated this character, but in all the ways we should be wanted to hate the character, right? I love this character being in the show. I think he's a fascinating character. I love that he's not just some black and white, I'm a villain, I'm going to rule the world this week. No, he's not one of those. He's a guy who wants to do good, who thinks he's doing good, who just wanted to live up to an ideal, but all of his past trauma, his issues, not being able to deal with the serum in and of itself, not being able to handle all the rejection that he got, like Sam rejected him, Bucky rejected him, people in the streets are spitting in his face. I don't care, you're Captain America. He's been disillusioned. There is something so rich about this character and has so much depth that I love him. I love what they've done with him, and I cannot wait to see what they do with him moving forward. Now, again, I still think there's a chance he dies tonight. I think it's 50-50 that he dies like heroically. That, I think he might do something that's kind of like a last second redemption sort of thing. Maybe not full redemption, but I think, so I don't know. 50-50, man. Coin toss, Jason. Next up, CMG writes, hey, John, my quick expectations for tonight's episode. Power Broker actually not revealed. That's a possibility too. They may leave that for something else. Sam stays as Falcon, but uses shield and Cap's color motif. That's definitely a possibility as well. Or another name altogether. But maybe he just goes by Falcon. Maybe he changes his name to another moniker. I still think it's most likely that he becomes Captain America, but we'll see where he goes. Torres down the line will use Sam's old wings and take on the moniker of Red Wing instead of Falcon. I still think he dies. I think that'll be a big emotional moment for Sam. I think Torres is going to be a Star Trek red shirt. I think he dies tonight. I have no insider information, but you've known I've said for a while that I think this kid's going to die. And Bucky embraces the name Winter Soldier. I don't think so. I think he will embrace the name White Wolf instead, and will tell Yori the truth, even if it means Yori not forgiving him. Also, Sharon will be revealed working with Elaine. That's something I hadn't considered. Working with Elaine. Now, bottom line, I think this show has been suggesting that Bucky has been trying to reject and get rid of Winter Soldier. And they have brought up White Wolf a couple of times. I think he embraces White Wolf. I think he finally says, Winter Soldier's now gone and dead. I've beaten that part of my life. I am now White Wolf, or something like that. I don't know. Well, we'll see where they go. We'll see where they go. All right, next up. Gabe Campbell writes, I can't wait for Sam and Bucky versus Walker and the Flag Smashers. It's going to be an epic showdown. It's going to be messy, yes, but Walker is not going to fight with the Flag Smashers. I mean, he wants to kill Carly. His number one driving motivation right now is vengeance for Battlestar. Not to mention his own personal demons, but there is no way. So maybe it's a three-fronted battle, maybe something, or maybe it's something that Sam and Bucky have to deal with one group first, and then deal with John Walker second, or I don't know. We'll see where they go. But I don't think we're going to see John Walker and the Flag Smashers teaming up. That really wouldn't make any sense. All right, next up. Gabe Campbell writes, as for the mantle of Captain America, maybe Sam and Bucky together are Captain America. Both of them together are like Steve Rogers. I don't see them doing that. Like, I don't see them getting two guys together. You are Captain America. Wouldn't that be Captain America's? Not to mention, with Bucky's background, there's no way the U.S. government is saying, yeah, you get to be Captain America, you 100-year-old assassin, you. Giving him a pardon is one thing. Letting him be known as Captain America, probably something different altogether. So I don't think they're going to be doing that. But hey, listen, Gabe, if they do that tonight, I will remember that you called that. I think it's highly unlikely. But if they do, you get the kudos for that. All right, next up. We got Everett Brown who writes, all right, John, putting you on the spot, your prediction for who the power broker is, a lot of possibilities, but I'm sticking with it's going to be a brand new person we haven't seen before. It's not going to be Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. It's not going to be Magneto. It's not going to be the Mandarin. It's going to be nobody. Nobody we've met yet. Nobody we've met yet. That's what I'm thinking is the most likely thing. I don't know for sure. This is just me speculating and guessing, but that's going to be my final answer going into the finale tonight. All right. Truth is writes, Old Man Cap meeting Isaiah Bradley. If that's also a good way for Cap not to be too involved in the story while still, hey, listen, 25% chance. I mean, understanding that Steve is Isaiah's hero, to have them meet would be awesome. Oh my God, combining the two different things. To have them meet in Captain America's museum where Isaiah's things be unveiled. Like if Isaiah goes in and sees his monument in the Captain America museum and he's all touched and you hear a voice from behind him, you know, it's well deserved. And he turns around and it's old man Steve Rogers. Oh my God, the weeping and the crying and everybody being all, it's going to be beautiful, man. It'll be beautiful if they do it. Again, not 100% chance. But I mean, like maybe a 25% chance, 1 in 4 chance I'll give it on that. All right. Sonia Hildebrand writes, I want old Cap to make a cameo. Me too, very badly. I think he is still alive. He's definitely still alive. And I want him to talk to Sam one more time as the new Captain America. Well, I mean, yes, but I'm more invested now in him meeting Isaiah. Listen, Steve Rogers is my number one favorite MCU character. So obviously I want to see him pop up. And I love the idea of him talking to Sam and Bucky one more time. You know, the Winter Soldier's now behind you, Buck. And Sam, carry my shield with pride or something like that. But I'm now more invested in him meeting Isaiah. That's the one who I really want to see him meet. All right. Let's see here. Sonia also writes, I also want Torres to be the new Falcon. I mean, look, there's a good chance that happens. But I'm going to stick with, I think he's a Star Trek red shirt. I think he's been brought into the show to die, to be a big emotional moment for Sam. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right, next up. Josh Stasio writes, I think American Falcon is better than Eagle. Well, yes. He could go by Eagle or American Falcon. Can't go by American Eagle. That's trademark. That's a store. Uncle Sam is, because we've heard Uncle Sam said a lot. So some people think he'll be called Uncle Sam. Personally, I think that's a bad superhero name, but we'll see where they go. All right. Zachary Zabale writes, hey, John, big fan since the AMC Closet days. Thank you, Zachary. Bravo to you for living your best life. Do you think Old Man Steve can make an appearance? Absolutely, I do. Like I said, I think 25% chance. Still unlikely, but I would give it a legitimate 25% chance, and I'll be very, very happy if they do, Zachary. Very happy if they do. All right. Ifran Dagman writes, Walker, I'm Captain America. Bucky, I'm not impressed. A little bit of Justice League there. That's basically the way it played out, right? That's basically the way that played out in that fight. In that warehouse, in that empty warehouse. It kind of had a little bit of that aura to it, didn't it? I think it did. Anyway, and by the way, you tipped in like $23. Thank you for that, man. I appreciate that. But that would be kind of fun to hear that line spoken, although it would be a little bit of a ripoff at this point. All right, Adam Love writes, Sharon was replaced by a Skrull theory. That's been a very, very popular theory running around. Hugely popular theory that maybe, Nick took Sharon Carter up into space with them. They said, I need somebody I can trust. And he goes out and gets her. That was a terrible Samuel L. Jackson voice. I'm just killing it here today. Horrible Shaggy, horrible Samuel L. Jackson. I'm not very good at impersonations. So he goes get Sharon, replaces her on the planet with a Skrull. That's been a very, very popular theory. Although, I will say this, everybody is Skrull theory happy right now. Everything is about Skrulls. Like almost every theory I see, Skrull. So I don't know, but hey, that's a possibility, Adam. It's a possibility. All right. Real Films writes, I think we will see J. Jonah Jameson out Spider-Man / Peter Parker as Mysterio's murderer in the background now that they are in New York City. No, that timeline doesn't line up, because this happens, I think 2 or 3 months before the events of Spider-Man Far From Home. So no, I don't think it's likely we're going to see that. The timeline just doesn't line up well enough. I mean, they could do, whatever. They could do anything they want, but that timeline technically does not line up. All right. J Meister 25 writes, game day, and Marvel has done it yet again. It's kind of creepy how consistently amazing Marvel Studios has been for like the last 7 years. Listen, I'll tell you what, like anything, Marvel has dropped the ball here and there, right? So, I mean, don't even get me going on Inhumans or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever. But, for every Thor the Dark World, there's like 10 big wins. Their win percentage is Pixar-like. Like, guys, what's Pixar's ratio of good to bad movies? Have they even put out a bad movie? I mean, yeah, we could have an argument about The Good Dinosaur, which wasn't their best work, but I still thought The Good Dinosaur was pretty good. I'm not a big fan of the Cars movies, but out of like all their library, that's it. Who's going to say Incredibles isn't good? Who's going to say that Ratatouille isn't good? Who's going to say Up isn't good? Who's going to say, it's just that. And Marvel has that kind of win percentage. It is really impressive and crazy how they're just consistently able to put that out there. All right, next up. Sean's World just sends in a super chat badge to be supportive, as does Dragon 10. Thank you, guys. Appreciate the support very much. All right, Carlos Hernandez writes, what is the power broker? You probably mean if. What if the power broker is Ross? I've heard 100 people theorize that Thunderbolt Ross is the power broker. I don't believe that's likely, but we'll see. Trying to create a new Captain America behind the government's back. Well, so we're saying the United States Secretary of State has become an underworld crime lord who is, as Zemo put it, a judge, jury, and executioner, all while being Secretary of State and a general in the military. And I don't know. To me, it seems very unlikely. Now, look, Marvel could do something that crazy. I'm not saying it's impossible that it couldn't be Thunderbolt Ross. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me because Thunderbolt Ross has never been shown to be a villain. An antagonist at times, but never a bad guy. So I just think it just doesn't seem to line up. It just doesn't seem to line up. Now, somebody in the live chat is saying, Rylan is saying, I don't think he's Secretary of State anymore. No, but if the power broker has been at play long before the snap and before that all happened, that is when Thunderbolt Ross was Secretary of State. And so power broker had been in play for years before that. So I just don't see it. Now, maybe they come up with a way to make it make sense. Kevin Feige has a way of doing that. But I would just still think it's unlikely, but you never know. Let's see where they go with it. All right. Alex Cano writes, Walker represent abuse of power and white privilege to a degree, but at the same time, it's not so much he represents an abuse of power. We've seen many characters and villains that have just gone a certain way. And some of my favorite antagonists are the ones who think they're doing the right thing. Right? I don't know. See, I disagree with the white privilege part. I haven't seen anything in here that suggests white privilege. I don't personally see that. I don't even really see abuse of power per se as a guy who just wasn't able to deal with that kind of responsibility thrown on him. But, that's the beautiful thing about these types of characters. These types of characters in these types of shows are in and of themselves pieces of art. And art will strike us all in different ways. Like, one person may look at the John Walker character and see, the real damage of living a life of war can do to somebody deeply. Like that speech he gave in front of his hearing, he was saying, "You guys made me. And when I did exactly what you wanted me to do, you punish me," right? So I think one person can look at it and see a damaged person from whose life has been all about war and being a soldier in battle, and the deep, deep rooted damage that comes out to the surface when put under that much pressure and responsibility, it compounded with the fact of taking the super soldier serum. Some people can see that. Some people can see the stuff that you're pointing out and seeing, and it's all valid. Again, I don't see it that way personally, but there's a lot of, we could do an entire series of breaking down the John Walker character. And that speaks to how great this character is, because we could have like hours of discussion just on that character alone and how all of us see all these different angles and aspects. So there you go. All right, next up. Alex also writes, white privilege and entitlement makes you feel like you can shoot someone in the middle of the street and get away with it. This is John Walker. Again, I disagree. There's nothing in this that suggests white privilege. I mean, bearing the mantle of Captain America and being called by your government as the big hero of the thing, but I don't see anything to do in there with white privilege at all. Ben Rayner writes, over under 30%. To echo the line, if he was wrong about you, he was wrong about me. I predict Sam or Bucky will say Cap was right about us all along. Maybe that moment when Bucky says to Sam, well, Steve was wrong about you, and if he's right, and then Sebastian Stan sounds like he's going to break down and cry as he's saying it, then that means he was wrong about me. And the reason that's so special to me is because Bucky doesn't see any value in himself other than that as a soldier and a killer. And the only reason he believes in himself at all is because Steve believed in me. And then when the idea that Steve was wrong about him, that shakes everything about Bucky to his core. Because I trust Steve, and Steve believed in you, and it's looking to me like he was wrong to believe in you. Well, oh my God, if he was wrong about you, then that means he was wrong about me. I mean, it was such a powerful, powerful, powerful thing. I just love that moment in there. All right, Everett Brown writes, what if Zemo already told Yori Bucky murdered his son? I don't know when he would have done that. There was literally no opportunity for him to do it. Not to mention, nothing in this show has suggested that Zemo is trying to F things up for Bucky. Like, nothing in this show has suggested that Zemo hates Bucky. So why? I just don't see any motivation for Zemo to sabotage Bucky's healing by doing something like that. Again, I'm not saying Zemo isn't a bad guy, but he clearly has no animosity towards Bucky. So I just don't see that's being the case. All right. Anime Novice writes, what if Yori is a member of Hand and was spying on Bucky all along? Then listen, guys, if you're going to, then the answer to your question is, what if Yori is a member of Hand and was spying on Bucky all along? Then the answer is, then he was a member of Hand and spying on Bucky all along. If you ever start a question with what if, make sure you actually put a question in there. But yeah, so I think that's highly, highly unlikely. All right. Sam Wright writes, I think Bucky will say, I know who killed your son, the Winter Soldier, and I was that. Yori breaks down, says, I am angry with the Winter Soldier, but not you. That seems like a stretch, man. That seems like a bit of a stretch. Oh, okay, so it was just old you that killed my son? Okay, come here, bring it in, big guy. Let's hug it out. I don't know. That to me would be a little bit off-putting. To see that, I think it literally should be a broken down, angry, yelling, screaming Yori who then maybe slams his door and walks away. Again, the point is Bucky doesn't need forgiveness. I mean, he does, but what he really needs to do is that he needs to take that step of opening up and confessing what he did. It's not about whether or not Yori forgives him. That's up to Yori. But I just hope they don't do something super unrealistic like, oh, you killed my son? Well, you seem like a pretty good guy now, so I'm sure you feel bad about it. Bring it in. Like, I just hope they don't do that. I hope they don't do that. All right, next up. Armchair Fandom writes, would love to see old man Steve Rogers show up. Me too, buddy. Just a simple nod to Sam as if I told you I didn't belong. It didn't belong to anyone else. Love the show. Again, he's my favorite character in the MCU. Whether it's to show up to talk to Isaiah, that's my number one choice. Show up to talk to Isaiah. Or whether it's talking to Sam and Buck or whatever. Or just having a big hero celebration and then the camera pans away to a figure standing off further away in a park, looking on to the events of the celebration, half a mile away. Standing under a tree is old man Steve. Doesn't even have a line, and just close up on his face and him going, I mean, that's all I need. That's all I need to be happy, dude. That's all I need to be happy. All right, next up. Purple Haze 4564 writes, hey, John, go with me here. One, if Steve already knows about Isaiah Bradley because he did go back in time, he could know about him already. I mean, look, we could play the game of, I can come up with a way that A, B, or C could be true. Of course, there are opportunities. I mean, even without Steve going back in time, you could say there are reasons Steve maybe might have known. We can make up all sorts of scenarios. But what they have presented us with that, yeah, there's a million possibilities, but Steve didn't know. Steve didn't know. But yes, I mean, but again, you don't need Steve going back in time to come up with plausible explanations as to how he maybe could have known. I mean, right? There are many ways, and you wouldn't need time travel for that. So I'm going to guess they stick with the fact that he didn't know. All right. Next up, Donald Thomas writes, over under 50%, we get another flashback, either Winter Soldier memory or reveal of where old man Steve went. I do think we could get old man Steve in there. I think in the final episode, I don't know, a flashback gives us much dramatic purpose right now. So again, unless it's to reveal about where Steve went, I'm going to go under 50%, not like 10%, but I will go under 50% on that, Donald. All right, next up, Raymond 2000 writes, I don't think we're going to get that Bucky and Yori. Oh, we are definitely, listen, I will be shocked if we don't get it. I think after everything is done, Bucky will return and don't while he was away, Yori passed away. Man, that would be horrible. That would be horrible. Now, listen, I think we've all known that, although, I mean, that's an interesting, he goes back, finds out Yori's died, and then learns a lesson that never let things wait. You could do that, but listen, right from episode 1, they have set it up, and we said in episode 1, this is going to be a big crescendo for this show, is him going to have that conversation with Yori. That's going to be a massive crescendo for this show. And so, yeah, it's possible they say Yori died, but I just don't see them not giving us that moment, especially when so clearly setting up in the first episode and then revisiting it with the conversation between Sam and Bucky again about the importance of that step. I just can't believe they're not going to give that to us. I mean, I think, let me put it this way. I think it'll be a massive mistake if they do not. Massive mistake if they don't, Raymond. So let's see what happens with that. All right. Stephen Boyd writes, over under 30%, Carly will die. Over 30%. Not 100, but over 30. I personally think John Walker is going to try and kill her, but Falcon will ultimately save her. Much respect to you. Yeah, I don't know how she dies, whether, Bucky kills her, not because I want to murder you, but because it's like, it was either that, it was the only way to stop her from killing other people, or John Walker is the one who takes her out, or Batroc takes her out, or Power Broker shows up and takes her out. I mean, I don't know. But I will definitely take over 30%, not 90%, not 100%, but I will go over 30% that she dies in this episode. All right. Raymond writes, I thought Zemo was going to buy the boat like Bruce saving Clark's farm. Zemo, I bought the bank. By the way, I brought this up before. Can I say it again? While I love that ending of Justice League, when Bruce says, how'd you get the house back? And Clark says that to him. Bruce says, I bought the bank. Why did you buy the bank? Why didn't you just buy the house back from the bank? Like, wouldn't have that been like $18 billion cheaper? Like, I'm sure if the bank took the house back, they're going to sell it to make money. Couldn't you just bought back the farm? Anyway, there's that. All right. Nerd Toy Reviews writes, What if a Skrull replaced Sharon after Cap 2, so Steve never kissed his niece? I don't think they're going to do that. She never betrayed the government and never became a black market dealer. I don't think they're going to do that. That undermines too much of the story that they've been laying out and too much of the character that we know. Because if that's the case, then we just don't care about the Sharon Carter character at all. I mean, you could have replaced her, but later. I don't think that would make much sense to have that have been a Skrull all along, so I'm going to guess no. I mean, you never know. You never know. But my guess right now will be no. Casey McNatt writes, what post-credit scene do you think we will get tonight? Obviously, there's a chance we could get 2. I hope we get one with Zemo. I think there's it's 100% we're going to get a post-credit scene. The question is, will we get 2? I think we will get 2. And I have no idea what they're going to be. There's a half-decent chance that it could be something that sets up Loki, but then again, WandaVision's post-credit scene didn't set up Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I don't know about that. But I got to imagine one of the front runners has to be something on the raft. Zemo's on the raft. John Walker shows up on the raft. So I'm going to guess something to do with the raft and maybe something to do with Power Broker. Something to do with the raft, something to do with Power Broker. We'll see. We'll see which way they go in that. All right. AMV Fan 15 writes, I think Sharon killed the Power Broker and replaced him. Well, that's kind of like the Dread Pirate Roberts thing. Like, right? The Power Broker is a title that's been passed on either willingly or by killing them. So has Sharon really gone that bad? Maybe. That's a possibility, AMV. Let's see how that turns out. The Sock writes, over under 40%, John gets taken to the raft and has a cell right across from Zemo. I would say, or Carly, but I'm 90% sure she dies. Like, I feel, I'm going to say 70% chance Carly dies. So still a good chance that maybe she doesn't, but I'll say 70% chance she dies. I'm guessing that Walker dies heroically tonight. But that's close. So yeah, maybe he does end up again, a post-credit scene of on the raft with those guys. It's definitely a possibility. I'll say right around 40%. I say right around that. I'm going to say right around 40%. All right. Gary Phillips writes, hey, John, been a while. Hope you're doing fantastic. I am doing fantastic, Gary. I'm excited to see the final episode. What do you think the post-credit scene will be? Well, again, that's what we've been talking about here for the last little bit. Again, I think there's going to be 2. I think we're going to get 2 post-credit scenes. One, I think will be something to do with the raft. And then the other, I think will have something to do with Power Broker. It might be neither of them. But I do think there are going to be 2. And those to me are the 2 front runners for the possibilities of what that's going to be. So we'll see. Or Red Skull. Or Red Skull. John, wouldn't that be kind of random? No, not really. If Sam does indeed become the new Captain America, what better time for Red Skull, now not having a purpose to be on Vormir, protecting the Soul Stone, which ain't there anymore. Or I guess it's back there now. And he comes back in, it is time for this world. I told you, I'm no good at impersonations. Not even Red Skull. For this world to see, hail me. Hail me. I don't know. Red Skull. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. All right, next up. We got James Argenta who writes, MCU will fake death Walker, and in post-credit scene, he will wake up with Elaine and set up a future Disney Plus show like Secret Invasion or Armor Wars, or something like that. I hope they don't do the fake death thing again. MCU just does that way, 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 way too much. But again, that could more, likely be tied in just to being on the raft, right? There's no reason to fake death him again. There's no reason to fake death him. MCU does fake death way too many times. So there's no need for that. But if he doesn't die heroically, I think we get a post-credit scene of him on the raft. Ryan Grieger just sends in a super chat badge to be supportive. Thank you, Ryan. Jared McBride writes, I'm excited to see Sam's new suit. I am too. Actually, I was kind of pissed that they did, as Sam is opening the case at the end of the last episode, I was kind of pissed that they ended the episode. Why not at least show him holding it up, even just for a second? I am very excited to see the suit as well. All right, it's all groovy writes. I think season 2 will be called Eagle and the White Wolf. I mean, that's assuming that Sam takes on the moniker of Eagle, right? I would like that to happen. I would like that to happen, but, or any moniker, but I do believe what they're going to do is he's going to go by Captain America. I don't think he should, but I do think that's the way they're going to go with it. All right, next up, Lucky Dragon. Lucky Dragon writes, it's unlikely Disney will kill off Torres, their first opportunity to have a Latino superhero, unless they like internet backlash. No, you can't worry about that. Look, he has been a good character, but so far in this show, his character, he's like a nerdy, not even real operative guy. He's a Boots, kind of in the office, stay away from things and do an analysis. Look, whatever way a character can make their best contribution to a show, I'm all for. I don't think there's going to be backlash if Torres dies. I honestly don't think that at all. I don't think you're giving people enough credit. I don't think there will be backlash if he dies. Next up, Scott Brett writes, I get the feeling that Bucky and Yori's convo will go very similar to how Peter and Aunt May's convo went in the OG Spider-Man 2. Dude, I wish I could remember exactly how that went. But again, look, I'm sure they're going to do it in such a way that's going to be very special and very memorable. But I also hope there's a little bit of verisimilitude there and that it's just Yori being angry. And I don't want this one ending with them hugging it out. Maybe later, but I really hope it goes kind of badly, but it's still something Bucky needed to do. To me, that makes it more meaningful. But who knows, Scott? You might be right. You might be exactly right. All right, next up. Carlos Hernandez writes, Torres is not dying. Don't take away the first Latin superhero in the MCU away like that. Man, I really hope they don't. Well, remember, he's not a superhero in the MCU. That's the thing. He's not a superhero in the MCU. He's a data analysis guy who the first time he tried to go out in the field, he got knocked out. I don't care. John, in the comic, it doesn't matter. The comics are not the MCU. The MCU and the comics are two different things. He is not a superhero. He could become one. They could do that. They could have him become the new Falcon. Although as far as we know, this dude can't even fly. But right now, he's just some analysis Star Trek red shirt guy who I think a lot of good stuff could be done narratively if his character dies. I think that causes a big emotional, important moment in the show. So I don't know. That's just me. All right, next up. Frederick Johnson writes, do you think Old Man Steve and Isaiah can have a future show together? No, I don't see it. If you just give me a moment of them together, that would be great. A future show, I don't see any reason for them to have a future show together. All right, Boosters the Name writes, what if Elaine isn't Madam Hydra, but a modernized version of Val Cooper, the character who recruited John Walker in the comics to be U.S. agent? But see, that's the thing. I don't think she's ever going to be known as Madam Hydra. I think Kevin Feige has moved beyond Hydra. So I don't think we're going to hear her be called Madam Hydra in the show. I could be wrong about that. I mean, I have no insider information. Tonight they could call her Madam Hydra, but I think she's going to be a combination of a bunch of things. Remember, like even in the comics, her character is a blip in the comics. She's not in comics much at all. I mean, for a period of time, she was Nick Fury's girlfriend for a period of time. I mean, she's such an inconsequential character in the comics that they could really do anything with her. And that's part of the beauty of it, right? They could do almost anything with her. So we'll see where they go. All right. Next up, Telephone Productions writes, are the 10 rings and the Mandarin connected to the power broker in any way? I don't think so. I mean, we'll find out tonight. But if you look at the way the narrative of the show is unraveled, there's been nothing to suggest that. Like there's nothing there that would point us towards that there's a connection somehow with Mandarin or the 10 rings or anything like that. There's just been no connection at all. So maybe they do it. Maybe they do. But right now I'm going to guess that it's pretty improbable. All right. Next up, Tejas Patel writes, any chance the last episode is over an hour? I'm going to guess it is. I don't know. But with credits, now granted they have long ass credits, but with credits, I think the last episode was like 61 minutes. I'm going to guess this will be over an hour. Probably not by much, but my guess will be it's over an hour. All right. Iconic Reactions writes, Hey, John, been a minute, but I just wanted to say one, I love you and this channel's crew because honestly, in the past few weeks, I've been debating on ending things. But this community and show, and the show Lucifer and the thought of seeing you and Rob's reactions to movies. We don't always agree on topics often, but you guys have made the past year worth it. I'm a huge fan of what you stand for in film. Well, thank you so much for that, Iconic. And listen, the film fan community is awesome, and it's awesome that you're here. And you know, you've heard me talk a lot about that, the film and storytelling fandom. Films and television and their fan bases offer a reprieve and a way to refresh our minds and look at things from different points of view. But as great as that is, and please hear me, and as I say this as a fellow story-loving brother, if you've gotten to that point, don't just rely on shows like mine or movies or great TV shows. I mean, that's great that those are helping. But if you've really gotten to the point that it's like that, please take the incredibly brave step of going out and seeking help. I can't emphasize that enough. Like, yeah, movies and TV shows and the fan community, it's great for giving us different perspectives on life and the world around us. But if it's gotten to that point, I highly, highly, highly encourage and urge you to also take that next it takes a lot of guts to do this, but to step forward and actually seek some help as well, because that's stuff you don't want to play with. But I'm super, super glad that this community and shows like Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Lucifer and others can be there for you to give you that gas and perspective, keep going. But please do take that next step as well and actually seek help. And I appreciate you like writing in and putting that into words and throwing that out there, man. So do something about it. I really encourage you to do that, dude. All right, next up. Joseph's Journey writes, Cap and Falcon kill people all the time in movies. Yes, but what you have never seen is Captain America with a beaten opponent who is down and surrendering. Oh, you've beat me, Captain America. I don't know why the bad guy has that accent. You beat me, Captain America. Fair play to you. I surrender. And Cap going, nah, boom, and put a slug in his head. That is not something Cap has done. The issue wasn't that John Walker killed a guy. I'm sure in his career as a soldier, he's killed many, 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 many guys. The issue was he had a helpless, defenseless, submitted opponent down. The fight was over. It's done. At that point, John Walker transitioned from being a combatant to being an executioner. Okay, you're beat, you're down, you're yielding. I'm just going to kill you now because I want to. See, that is something that you have not seen Sam or Captain America do. And that's a huge and important distinction to make. All right, next up. Let's see. Stubby1 Kenobi writes, and this will be the last question we take, guys, before we take a little bit of a break here. We've been going for a little bit over an hour now. Stubby writes, Power Broker original goal was to get Serum back. Well, no, their original goal was probably other things. His original goal in this series was to get the serum back. New goal to capture Super Soldier. Hire Sharon to help on condition she meets Power Broker. She works with Ross. Ross uses Super Soldier blood and gamma rays to become Red Hulk. I will still go on a limb and say I don't think they have any intention to go Red Hulk. I don't think we're going to get Red Hulk anytime soon. I mean, never say never, like 4, 5, 10 years down the line, who knows? But I still don't think, I've heard a lot of people throw around the Red Hulk theory, and that very well may be. They very well could. I just don't see them doing that. And that's all pretty specific. So I don't know. I mean, listen, though, Stubby One, if it works out the exact way you're just saying it, then that's oddly specific. I'm going to probably go, I'll be so impressed, I'll probably guess you've seen the episode already. But we will see. Okay, guys, listen. We will pick up with I Hope You're in just a couple of minutes. For now, we're gonna take a break. I'm gonna refill my drink, stretch my legs for a minute because we've been doing this for a little bit over an hour. Give you guys a chance to run, grab a bite to eat, talk amongst yourselves. Don't go anywhere, guys. We will be right back. All right, guys, and we are back. Thank you so much for your patience and indulgence as we took a little bit of a break there. For now, let's keep things going with your insight, comments, questions, theories, speculation about tonight's finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier. We'll get things going here with, I hope you're right. Do you find it strange that between WandaVision, Far From Home, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there hasn't been any mention or crossover of the events that have taken place? No, I actually like it a lot. They've all been separated by several months. Like WandaVision happens 3 weeks after the snap. Like after everybody comes back, the events of Endgame. Falcon and the Winter Soldier takes place like 3-4 months after the events of everybody coming back. Far From Home takes place 8 months after everybody coming back. So no. And look, one of the things I don't like about shared cinematic universes is everybody thinks every single show, everybody, where's Iron Man? Where's Spider-Man? Why doesn't Thor come and help? You know, I just, there's a lot of fandom that says everything has to have everybody come in it. So I love the fact that Marvel is building cinematic universe, but they're also telling isolated stories that still have connection to the other ones, but don't feel the need to massively overlap them over time. So no, not only, I think it makes sense that they're not overlapping because of the time separation. I think it's great that they're not overlapping. I think that's very, very key. All right, next up, iconic reactions. Oh yeah, we already covered that. All right, it's all groovy rights. Just a chat to say thank you for all these live shows and tell Ann congrats on the Apple event. Yeah, I thought that Apple event went great. How great. Now, granted, Apple now provides half of my household income. Apple now provides half of my household income. But oh my God, how good is that new iPad? My iPad, I've got an 11-inch iPad Pro. It is my favorite computing device that I have. Now, I'm an Android guy, so I use an Android phone, but I love the iPad as a tablet. I love the iPad. And that new iPad with the M1 chip in it, ooh, I'm not going to lie, it's getting a little stiff, ladies and gentlemen. It might be getting a little bit stiff at the thought of that new iPad. Cannot wait. So yes, Ann's launch event went great. It went really, really great. All right, thanks for that, all groovy. All right, Sully writes, 1 of 2. My dad passed away in November. So sorry to hear about that, dude. In November, and the MCU material has always brought me so much joy. So when the MCU returned with WandaVision and that glorious opening, I couldn't help but cry. I needed that. So I just want to enjoy the MCU. I don't care what happens. Thank you for your show, John. It really helped distract me. And again, yeah, listen, I am so sorry to hear about your dad passing away. But again, it just kind of reflects that, you know, we as a species, all right, I give this speech a lot, but you go back to the most ancient recordings of our species, we are storytellers. Whether it's drawings on cave walls or whatever, or whether it's passing on the oral history around fires or whatever, we as a species at our core are storytellers. It's a part of who we are. And so stories, telling stories that fire our imaginations, bring us hope by talking about a world the way it could be, exposing our fears about the way the world we are afraid of it could be, like all that kind of stuff. Stories are edifying. Stories are therapeutic. Stories are great. And so, yeah, I get it. I can relate with you on that. And again, so I'm so glad that things like the MCU or Star Wars or Harry Potter or Star Trek or the DC, whatever it is that floats your boat, I'm so glad these things are able to be there for you and for me and for all of us for things like that. So thanks for sharing, Sully. And again, deepest condolences in the passing of your dad, man. All right. Robert Zaleski writes, where are we at here? Robert Zaleski writes, Where do we go? With Bucky coming full circle and no clear future for him in the MCU, over under 20%, he doesn't make it out alive. Maybe he sacrifices himself. Why doesn't he seem to have a future in the MCU? I don't understand that. He's just coming into himself now. He's just finally becoming whole. I don't see anything suggesting that he's exiting out. Now, listen, maybe they give us a great dramatic ending of Falcon and Winter Soldier and he dies. But again, I think they've set up a season 2. I think that's been clear with the fact that they've submitted it for that certain Emmy category. I think that suggests they are thinking about a season 2. So I don't think he's going anywhere. Although if they could give us a real powerful and like death for Bucky that creates a powerful, powerful moment, go for it. But other than that, I don't see any suggestion that they're easing up at him anytime soon. All right, let's see here. Ifran writes, hey, John, for me, the most powerful scene, and it tips in like almost $30 there. Thank you, Ifran. For me, the most powerful scene is this in the series was when Bucky throws the shield at Sam and Sam wipes the blood off of it. Was that in that episode where they fought John Walker? I'll be honest with you. I don't even remember. I mean, obviously I remember the fight scene. I don't remember that moment in it. Like in the midst of the fight that he wipes blood off the shield, or if that came later. I don't remember that. Because that could be a very significant moment. Like that's like image-wise, as far as iconography, it's almost like a powerful still image of that, right? That could be really cool, but I don't remember the moment, Ifran. Now you've just given me an excuse, Ifran, that I got to go back, rewatch that, and look for that shot, because that could be a very, very powerful image and have a lot of depth and meaning to it. So I'm going to have to go and check that out. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right. Next up, we've got Dale and Tuck writes, excited for tonight's episode. Thanks for doing these shows. It's my pleasure, man. Thanks for being here and being a part of it. It just gets me even more hyped up for the episode. And then Dale just sends in like a $15 super chat just to be supportive. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that very much, man. And yes, I am so stoked for the episode tonight. I can't wait. Bummed it's the last episode, but very stoked. Jason Lee writes, Walker is 1,000% the epitome of white privilege. Again, I don't get that. No jail time for murder / Isaiah, 30 years, gets Cap after Sam retires Shield. Pretty obvious, but I'm black. Hey, listen, and I'm not discrediting your perception of that. Like I said earlier, this is a piece of art. We're all looking at it and we're getting different things out of it. I'm just not going to be disingenuous to you. I owe you the respect of just giving you my perception of it, and it's very, very different from yours. So I don't see that at all. I don't see that at all. Now, and also you can't compare apples to apples to what happened to John Walker today versus what happened to Isaiah in the 1950s. They're very different cultural contexts, the whole bit. And so I just don't see it that way. But again, I'm not discrediting that you saw it that way. I think like a piece of art, we all see different things. I'm just sharing with you my belief that I just see that differently. All right, next up. Dale and Tech sends in another super chat badge. Thank you, Dale. Appreciate that. All right, next up. Charles Bailey writes, hey, John, I've been a fan since your review of Assassin's Creed. Oh, it's hard to think about 5 or 10 more disappointing movies in Assassin's Creed. I still use that video to bring others to your channel. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you so much for that, Charles. I appreciate that, man. Even if it's over a very disappointing film like Assassin's Creed. All right, Anthony C. writes, elect Bucky. I don't know what that means. Yori, what are you doing? Yori, call me by my true name. Power broker. Bucky unconscious. Yori, on headset. Patch me over to Zola, informing him that the Winter Soldier is coming home. Now, okay. Listen, that would be a twist. That would be a twist. We thought Bucky was stalking Yori because he had a hidden agenda for why he wants to be close to Yori. What if Yori was the one stalking him because he's the power broker and now working with Zola? I mean, obviously that's not going to happen, but oh my God, that would be a twist. That would be a twist. Charles Bailey writes, personally, I'm Team Isaiah. Emotions aside, both men who've had the Captain America title have both ended up war criminals. Well, that's the thing. I don't think they said in this that while Isaiah was a super soldier, he was never, from what I understand from the show, he was never given the mantle of Captain America. And remember, there were other guys in his team that were also given the super soldier serum, except most of them, they all died off because of the experimentations. I don't know that he was ever given the mantle of Captain America. So, I mean, now you can say, well, in the comic, well, remember, we're not talking about the comics. We're talking about what's happened here in the MCU. I don't think they ever said he had that mantle, even though he had been given a super soldier serum, or at least a version of Erskine's super soldier serum. But I could be wrong about that. It'd be interesting to see. I really, really want a moment between Steve and Isaiah, though. I think, like, before, it was like, I want a moment between Steve and Bucky and Sam. Now, ever since like episode 3 or 4, I'm like, now I desperately want to see a scene between Old Man Steve and Isaiah. I just think that would be amazing. All right, Arn writes, over under 0.1%. Everyone is a Skrull. Hashtag Secret Invasion. Yeah, I'm going to go even under that. Big zero on that one, Arn. Big zero on that. Mary writes, I'm not sure Yori moment is going to be just as big as you're hoping. Maybe just temper your expectations for that. Listen, it's going to be as big as it is meaningful to you. Because to me, it can be a 5-second scene and be the most important scene of the whole show and be everything that I wanted it to be. It can be but a moment. Or it could be a 7-minute scene. I mean, the length of it isn't what's important to me. It's just seeing that moment. And I think it's going to be as big of a moment as it is important to you as an individual viewer in seeing it. So for me, even if it's 5 or 10 seconds, it's going to be massive. It'll be massive to me because that's kind of the thing for the whole Bucky's entire character journey is summed up in what's going on between him and Yori. His whole character journey is summed up in this. So even if it's just a 5 or 10 second thing to me, Mary, it'll be absolutely massive. All right, Ismail writes, over under 50% that John Walker dies tonight. It's like 50-50. It's like 50-50 to me. I just don't see him fitting into another show or Falcon and the Winter Soldier season 2. There's a lot you can do with a character like this. Whether that's in something like Thunderbolts or future plans down the road, I think there's a lot you could do. Doesn't mean you have to do it though. So I still think there's a good chance. I still think there's a decent chance that we see him die heroically. But again, I think it's right close to that 50-50 coin toss line, Ismail. All right, next up. Victor Figueroa writes, I think the end of the episode, they will show a new section at the Smithsonian for Isaiah Bradley as Captain America next to Steve Rogers' display. By the way, Victor tipped in like $20. Thank you for that, man. I don't know if there'll be a new wing for it, but definitely what do you call it? Definitely some kind of monument, some kind of place within that Smithsonian, acknowledging that. I think somebody else brought that up earlier, Victor. I think it's a beautiful idea. Even though I don't think he was ever called Captain America in this MCU, to acknowledge that, with what happened with Steve, we had Isaiah Bradley. Very few people know about the story of Isaiah Bradley, and giving him that honor and then having him there, I think that's a waterworks moment. I think that's an absolute waterworks moment. I hope to see that. That would be really, really good to see. All right, AMV fan writes, Sam's last words in the show will be, I am Captain America. Could be. I think that is what he will be. Whether or not those are the last words of the show, I'm not sure. A little too close to the I am Iron Man way to end that one thing, so it might be a little bit too similar to that, but could be, man. All right, Calvin Servo-Pano writes, John, I got the episode durations from Disney+. WandaVision with 9 episodes is 5 hours and 30 minutes long. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier with 5 episodes is 4 hours and 40 minutes long. So any episode 50 minutes or longer will make the Falcon and Winter Soldier longer with 6 episodes. Love the show. I know, but it's just the way it's segmented out. I don't like the way it's segmented out. Not to mention, now I'd have to go back and double check this because this may not be true at all. Just so you guys know, this may not be true at all. But the credits of of Falcon and Winter Soldier seem to be longer, significantly longer than the credits in WandaVision. Because literally, like I remember there have been episodes where it's like the credits start and I pause it and it shows like there's still 7 minutes and 20 seconds left. And I'd be like, ooh, well, there's obviously a post-credit scene. And then we would fast forward and it's like, nope, it's like literally 7 minutes and 20 seconds of credits. It's been a totally crazy amount of credit scenes. So I don't know. We'll see, Calvin. We'll see. Fingers crossed. All right, next up. Jordan Risley writes, just a fun question. Do you see Steve Rogers as an old school Republican or nobody cares about the answer to that question. Not going to bite into that. Not going to take that bait. All right. Frederick Johnson writes, if Sam takes the shield and becomes Captain America, does that mean he's expected to lead the Avengers too? Oh, no. Just because, hey, I've got this new nickname. Whoa, wait a minute. You have that nickname? That means you're the leader of the Avengers. No. Again, he may take on the moniker Captain America, but he's not Steve Rogers, right? Steve Rogers had been a soldier and a hero long before any of the rest of the Avengers, other than Thor, had even been alive. So, and he was a military commander. He led those battles in World War II and against Hydra and all that kind of stuff. No, he doesn't go from literally a sea level. I mean, Rhodey has seniority over Falcon. Rhodey has seniority over Sam. So, no, I don't see him. Well, like, hey, Sam, you're one of the lower members of the Avengers. Cool. Oh, but wait, you're calling yourself Captain America now? Well, I guess that means you're the leader. So, no, I'm going to go out there, Frederick, and say, nope, no chance he becomes the de facto leader of the Avengers. No. All right. Casey McNatt writes, I think there would be no point to that scene where Elaine meets John Walker if they are just going to kill him off in the end. Sure there is. Introducing us to Elaine. Like, listen, the power and all the things that happen in a scene, in any movie, TV show, whatever, does not become diffused if it doesn't go somewhere later. Like, this is like another one of the problems with shared cinematic universe. Everybody feels like everything that happens, if you don't have an entire storyline about this one little thing that happens later, then there was no point in this one thing. I don't agree with that. That Elaine popping up scene was surprising, and it was memorable, and it brought in somebody that I think is going to be a very significant character moving forward in Elaine. Julie Louis-Dreyfus. Now, whether Walker goes anywhere or not is not pertinent. That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. So if Walker does die tonight, and again, I think that's 50-50, but if he does die tonight, that in no way undermines the effectiveness and possible long-term ramifications of that scene, because it goes way beyond Walker. So I got to disagree with you on that, brother. I got to disagree with you. All right. Next up, Michael Bradley writes, hello, John. Over under 40%, Walker ends up with another vibranium shield, 0. Possibly given by Valentina. No, I'm going to go 0 on that. There's not, at least I hope they don't, like, vibranium isn't just everywhere for everybody to pick up and use whenever they want. So I'm going to go very, very low on that. Not to mention, it would kind of moot the whole point of showing John making his cosplay Captain America shield at the end of the last episode. But then, I mean, it could get wrecked and then, you know, Elaine shows him and goes, here, use this one. Bum, ba, ba. I mean, maybe, but I will still, so maybe I shouldn't say 0, but I will go far under 40. I'll go well under 40. You never know. It might make sense. All right. Steve Rogers writes, I love how Steve's presence is felt throughout the show without him physically being there. True. His presence is all over this show. Absolutely. I wonder what Bucky's endgame will be in terms of his final appearance if Steve was through time travel. I wonder what Bucky's endgame will be in terms of his final appearance if Steve was through time travel. I have no idea what that means. Sorry about that, Steve. I have no idea what you mean by that. But anyway, getting back to the first thing you were saying, like, even just, I mean, hell, look at it. The most prominent thing on the Falcon and Winter Soldier title card is Steve Rogers' shield. It's his shield. Like, the presence of Steve Rogers, it just saturates everything about this show. Everything about this show. And you have felt it in every single episode. So I think your observation is bang on the money. You feel his presence there throughout this entire show. Completely agree. All right, next up. Ifran writes, I just wanted to tell Iconic Reactions that I've been there. Stay strong. Things do get better, and you are not alone. That is very good of you to write that in, Ifran, and just another great example of the community. So Iconic, you are amongst friends, and Ifran, very classy of you to write that in, man. Good on you. All right, next in. Stiffmeister writes, little off topic, but which movie do you think will be more epic? The Flash with Michael Keaton returning, or Spider-Man No Way Home with Tobey and Garfield? I mean, it's way off topic. That's not what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but without giving any explanation, Spider-Man. All right. Ben Rayner writes, over under 0%. I don't know how you go under 0%. Over under 0%, we get what we all need right now, a dance off between Zemo and Star-Lord to distract the Flag Smashers. Come on, we all need this. Oh man, I could that whole Zemo video, the extended one that Disney put out, was like life. That thing was life. I absolutely love that. I would love to see him come back and do more dancing, man. Just anything with him coming back to do more dancing, I'm totally on board with. All right, Suthius writes, it's not just the image of Sam wiping the blood off the shield after the fight, but the look on his face of self-disappointment of letting Steve down. I mean, again, I don't remember that particular moment, but again, that just goes back to what they said a little bit earlier, right? The presence of Steve Rogers is not only hanging over the series, but definitely hanging over both Bucky and Sam. And even when Sam says to Bucky, look, Steve's not here. Steve's gone. By the way, did you notice they said gone? They never said dead. But Steve's gone. He's not here. We have to find our way. But that ultimately is what Steve would want for them anyway. But even in that conversation, the presence of Steve Rogers is so prevalent over all that, it's become one of the prime motivating factors. You can go back to the best moment of the show. Steve was wrong about you, and if he was wrong about you, he's wrong about me. It's all about this lingering presence of Steve Rogers. It's awesome, man. It's awesome. All right, Nikita Mohana writes, hey, John, after watching your Suicide Squad review a few days ago, please dress up for your future reviews. Ask Anne's help for hair and makeup if needed. Yeah, of course. So back in the day when I did my Suicide Squad review, I cosplayed as Harley Quinn. A lot of people will remember that. I don't do a lot of that, but I'll still do it from time to time. All right, Paul Goulart writes, I think the girl Bucky dated briefly is the power broker, and she tells Bucky the father just died, and he has always known about his son's death. Yeah, very, very unlikely. But not only do I want to see Bucky back with that girl, I want to have that emotional moment with Yori. I want to see him pick up that date with that girl. That girl was cute. I want to see him hook back up, get that date back on track. He had to cut that date short. I want to see him showing that he's willing to live life again. Give me like a 15-second shot of that. That's all I want to see. All right, James Diesel writes, I think Sam makes an Isaiah Bradley exhibit. Again, a lot of people have been mentioning that. I certainly hope, though. I think, James, that would be very, very special if they did that. All right, Nikita writes, Hawkeye wrapped up shooting, yes, I heard about this, yesterday, which Jeremy Renner confirmed on his Insta story, but he said last day for now. Was he implying Barton dies? Again, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think, just as a quick thing, whenever it says last day for now, don't forget there's always reshoots. There's always reshoots. So that's probably what he was talking about. Charles Bailey writes, Walker and Steve were Captain America. Walker and Steve were Captain America, not Isaiah. True, in the MCU. Walker got convicted because of the public execution, and Steve was on the run. Well, Steve was never not Captain America, though. Like, he was always still Cap. He may have been on the run, but notice that the Captain America Smithsonian thing is still there. They're still honoring Captain America. It doesn't matter that he was on the run or not. All right, next up. Santez Henderson writes, season ends with Sam leaving the best way to pay bills. Okay. Season ends with Sam learning the best way to pay bills is to open an OnlyFans, $15.99 for premium content. Bucky guest stars sometimes. As you guys know, I've been contemplating starting up the John Campea OnlyFans. However, it will be, not just Campea bringing the filthy, which everybody knows, but because I am so concerned about the glorious image of my naked Adonis-like body with my oversized Italian penis, I think I don't want to threaten marriages across the world. So I think what I'll do is I'll do a reverse OnlyFans. For $25 a month, I will not send you naked pictures of me. So there you go. If you don't want to get naked pictures of John Campea, you got to send in $25. So it's a little bit of a reverse thing. I'm not, I think we can raise a lot of money that way. I think we can raise a lot of money. A reverse OnlyFans, $25, or you get the right ass cheek in your inbox in the morning. $25. All right. Next up, where are we going here? We go, J Jav Dav writes, where we go. I hope Sam's new suit includes a retractable face shield. Been watching you since high school. Thank you for your hard work. Much appreciated. A retractable face shield. I don't know. I don't think it will. We've never seen Cap's entire face covered. I don't think we will. I don't know that I want that either. I think I just want to see, I'm more looking for the body. Keep him with the red goggles. I want to see him keep with the red goggles. And we will go with there and see what happens. Okay. Next up, Aaron Stewart writes, Bucky yells, Yori, what is grief if not love persevering? A little bit of a crossover there of WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What, by the way, still, I think maybe the second best line in any comic book property, like comic book movie or comic book TV show. What is grief if not love persevering? I still think it's like the second best one, only behind Pa Kent in Man of Steel, taking his son into his arms and saying, you are my son. That's the number one, but that one might be a close number two. All right. Steve Rogers writes, sorry about the last confusing question. I wonder how or if Bucky will go out the same way Steve did, by going back in time with Steve, or if he'll actually die. I worry for Bucky. I don't think they're going to do that. I think this series is leading up to Bucky finally becoming whole. And then I think they've been implying that they are going to do a season 2. So I don't think Bucky's going anywhere. But then again, if he does have some big, incredible, dramatic death, that would be kind of awesome too. But whatever they do, I think it's going to be special. But I don't see him time traveling with Steve. I don't think that's what Steve does anymore. So I don't think we're going to see him do that. But then again, you never know. All right. Next up, we've got Aaron Stewart who writes, Isaiah gets a display in the museum. Final shot of the show is Isaiah and old man Steve in the museum together. Dude, that would be so iconic and awesome. And I'd be all about that. Just Isaiah standing there looking up at America finally honoring him. And then old man Steve beside him with his hand on his shoulder. Oh, that's a poster moment, ladies and gentlemen. That's a poster moment. All right, next up, Stubby1 Kenobi writes, haven't seen the episode yet. I'm not an a-hole. Wouldn't come in here and just drop spoilers like that just to complete guess. Oh, because you're saying, hey man, if you're right, we'll remember, because that was oddly specific. No, I believe you didn't see it yet. I totally believe you didn't see it yet. I'm just saying, but holy crap, if that very detailed, specific prediction of yours comes out true, then you'll be like a freaking Jedi. All right, Jason Twinner writes, over under 40% Walker kills Callie. I just don't see Sam Bucky killing her, at least not intentionally. Again, listen, I could totally see them killing her if it was like that's what needed to be done. Like she was about to murder a couple of people, and the only way to stop her was Bucky made an impossible shot from 200 yards away and had to take her out, or something along those lines. I just don't see them killing her as an execution. Like, don't forget, in episode 1, Sam killed a lot of guys. Like, don't forget about that. He killed a number of guys in that first episode. So he will kill them if the situation requires it. But I do think there's a pretty good chance that Walker gets his revenge for Battlestar by killing her. So we'll see. All right. Suthius writes, assuming Steve had a family with Peggy, and assuming Steve had a family with Peggy when he went back in time, perhaps gone means that he went back to his branch of reality rather than after the end of Endgame. I don't think so. I just think he just removed himself from the world. I think again, I have nothing to back this up with. This is just me speculating as a fan. I think after that end of Endgame, I think the words we never got to see Steve say to Bucky or to Sam is, All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off to Tahiti, and you fuckers are going to leave me the hell alone. I've now given you your shield. I am retired. Do you understand me? Leave me alone. And I'm going to go off and sip Mai Tais on the beach for the rest of my days. I mean, I think it's something along those lines, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, next up. Where are we at? We're at Kevin King. And this is the final question. Final questions we got today, guys. We got through everything. Final question today is from Kevin King, who writes, Bucky tells Yori he killed his son, then offers himself a little bit of best of the best, then offers himself as his new son. Shout out to best of the best. Yes, John, yes, grr. I deeply regret the loss of your son, and I humbly offer myself as your new... The difference was Daehan didn't intentionally kill Tommy's brother. That was a total accident done in the match. This was a little bit different, but I would love that crossover. Okay, we'll do this one last one just because Josie slipped it in there under the wire. Blink, if you are the power broker, John, I can neither confirm nor deny that I am actually the power broker in the MCU. That my character from the Hulk movie is actually the power broker. I don't want to ruin the surprise for you guys. By the way, send in $25 to my John's Reverse OnlyFans if you don't want another surprise in your inbox in the morning. And guys, that'll do it for this pre-game special of Falcon and Winter Soldier. The finale is tonight. I'm so stoked for it. Guys, don't forget, tomorrow at 4 p.m., we're going to be doing our Falcon and Winter Soldier spoiler discussion, our post-game spoiler discussion, where we are going to break down everything that happens in the show tonight. By the way, it might be a little bit earlier tomorrow. We might need to do it a little bit early tomorrow. Just keep an eye on my social media, like on my Twitter, and just keep an eye on the YouTube channel, because I'll post in the community tab what time specifically. I'm going to be aiming for 4, but we might do it a little bit earlier in the day, so I make sure I don't have a scheduling conflict. But tomorrow, either way, we got our spoiler discussion. Keep your guys' eyes open for it. All right, guys. That will do it for me for now. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget, what are we at now? We are T-minus 6 hours. 6 hours from the beginning of the finale of Falcon the Winter Soldier. Can't wait to talk to you guys about it tomorrow. That'll do it for me, guys. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.